Kenshi is a game about the harsh reality of life in a post-apocalyptic society. It's a world where they, the badges, want to beat the crap out of you. And everything within a 5-mile radius, living and non-living, will beat the crap out of you. So join me on this journey through Singapore, filled with humor that makes you... and occasional swearing.
Well, it's...
What the fuck? Video games, they are one of those things in life that offer a remarkable escape from reality. Often, these games offer some sort of power fantasy to the player, placing them in its world and making them press Alt F4 with a satisfied look on their face. Kenshi is not one of them. I was interested in this game the moment I found out that losing an arm and getting forcefully subjected to labor without receiving financial compensation is considered an average outcome of a battle in the early game. I am not a masochist. If you have never played Kenshi, then you have likely at least heard about its reputation as an extremely punishing game. That reputation is well deserved, however, it is evident that most of its players have grown to love it for the suffering that it inflicts on the player. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but I think that's based. Without mentioning the obvious fact that it takes huge balls to make a game with themes like human trafficking, torture, cannibalism and tax evasion, without making it look like a poorly disguised fetish, especially the tax evasion part. Kenshi was primarily developed by a single man with a dream. That dream was to make you fucking suffer. That fact alone makes everything that I will mention later down the line so much more impressive, given that these days there are teams of tens of people with the same amount of time and much more funding that could not cook up anything nearly as good as this gem. Kenshi is a squad-based survival RPG. One of the things that sets it apart from similar games in the genre is the absence of the conventional difficulty slider, the closest alternative to which being different starts, which seem to only make it progressively harder by spawning you in less favorable locations. In this game, you do not start as some special chosen one. Fuck man, if you're special at anything, it's your incompetence in defending yourself. In Kenshi, you either survive through good decision making or sheer perseverance, making it the ultimate indomitable human spirit game. Ironic, given that in the post-apocalyptic world of Kenshi, humanity is not the sole thriving species. Unlike other RPG games, you don't just go and fuck up some bandits 5 minutes after making your character. In Kenshi, it will be a while until you can beat a single bandit, let alone a whole gang of them. You can achieve it mainly through leveling up your toughness skill. To put it simply, at level 1 your ouch threshold is very low. This means that you will not be able to handle the strain that getting injured in battle puts on your body. You will lose consciousness more often and will feel less inclined to rejoin the fight after gaining it back. This will often lead brand new characters to die when fighting enemies that are wielding more lethal weapons. However, if you have managed to wake up after the inevitable defeat at the hands of your superior, you will notice that you are now much more tough than you were before. One of the ways the game decides exactly how much tougher you got is by asking the following questions. Were you outnumbered? Did you wear armor? Did you go for another round after getting your ass handed to you? Did you continue fighting with progressively worse injuries, especially lost limbs? This mechanic is not exclusive to the toughness skill. Your attack skill will get a boost to your XP gain when fighting people above your level, while decreasing when fighting people below it. When I first played this game, it felt like such a breath of fresh air compared to the usual dishing out and tanking through damage. Alright, the second thing setting it apart from your average RPG is the fact that Kenshi doesn't have a main quest or a finale of any sort. Instead, the game feels like a combination of many different side quests. In fact, the main side quest of the game revolves around delaying the finale of your playthrough rather than pushing you towards it. This is because the only real end to a playthrough is the death of all the members of your squad. That means that even if your main character dies, you can make your own little headcanon how the remaining survivors go about pursuing revenge for the main character. If you are looking forward to trying this game for the first time, I recommend not loading your previous saves unless your character dies. It is understandable that you might not enjoy being, you know, forcefully subjected to hitting the greedy for Okran, but from my own experience it is the most fun way to experience this game. I am not a masochist.
Dude, I wanna jerk off! Fuck! I wanna jerk off! Look at this!
Kenshi approaches its world building with a lot of show, don't tell, and to get to know that world you must travel across the scorching sands of the great desert, the unreasonably long closing times of the swamps, and encounter many landmarks that make you think about how they came to be. In Kenshi, you encounter different NPCs with their own remarks on the locations you visit, from their own perspective of course. This approach made it so people on Reddit still argue about their vision of certain factions or characters. The truth is that in Kenshi there is no faction that has a good guys sort of justification to their actions other than survival. You slaughtered those farmers because you knew that they had food on them. I killed the United Cities enforcers because I didn't want to pay my taxes. But morals are often reserved for the strong. And what about people like John Kenshi? He assaulted a man for his clothes, hitting him over the head again and again for clothes that are not worth a single bowl of rice. John Kenshi has no morals, no allies, no money, and no beaches. It begins to sound an awful lot like your real life now, doesn't it? Shut the fuck up! Kenshi is an incredible game, for many defined by its brutal gameplay. Yet, games with interesting concepts at the forefront of their game design are not exactly a rare sight. You know what most of these games have in common? Not a lot of people really care about those interesting ideas nowadays, even though these days the gaming industry is somehow more monochromatic than it was during the Battle Royale hype days. Unique and inspiring projects disappear from the scene as quickly as they appeared, which is why I think that Kenshi being a unique feudal China torture method is not really a valid reason for why it still has a very respectable player count for a multiplayer game, let alone a single player one. What I think is the reason for why this game still holds up is because it is first and foremost good, peak even. Things like slavery and starvation in this game are like hot sauce. It can give you an unforgettable taste of an already great dish, but if you give me a plate full of fucking McDonald's chili sauce, I'll fucking kill you. In Minecraft, for example, the hunger bar is just something to slow you down. Really, it doesn't affect anything 99% of the time, but in Kenshi, the atmosphere and the overall gameplay is made in such a way that makes you look at food respectfully. In Kenshi, that brutality is not slapped on top of the gameplay, no, that shit is mixed in. Since you've clicked on the thumbnail, I think that it is safe to assume that you've probably played Kenshi, which, I mean, good for you, but if not, then this section is probably the thing that has the biggest chance of convincing you to buy it. Let's just say that recently the topic of gaming impotence was heavily discussed, and to give you a quick rundown, it's mainly guys in their 20s talking about how that feeling of playing games in their early childhood hasn't been reached by the modern live service slop. And I understand why you might feel this way if you play shit from the main page of Epic Games Store, but my brother in Christ, play an indie game. I get that for a lot of people, the drop in visuals and things like voice acting might be off-putting to an average gamer. But if instead of lamenting over how you perceived games when you were a kid, how about you go out there and give games like Kenshi a try? I think that in this case, this is literally the best game to start with. And you might ask me, Gamayun, well, how does being enslaved help one get that good old days feeling? Writing a script at 6 in the morning really does hit different. The point is, it will not. With being forcefully subjected to labor, for the first time in-game, you experience something new, something different, and overall the message here is not just about Kenshi. Go out and try different games, different things in life. Sometimes taking a break from things we love is necessary. The only exception being my channel. There is no justification for taking a break from it. And with that, my dear viewers, I once again thank you for watching. If you found yourself enjoying this incoherent rambling of mine, I suppose you can leave a like or subscribe if you're feeling extra. Whoa, is that a